must be Mr. Bentley. Are you here to see Mr. Mitski?
Yes, I'd like to go straight to his office if I could.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mitski is terribly busy right now. He is booked until 6.
What? I've made an appointment with him and it's past 7.
6 a.m., Mr. Bentley. And I'm not seeing your appointment here anywhere. You're free to wait until Mr. Mitski's earliest convenience, however.
Fine. I can interview the rest of the office while I wait. Good evening, Mr. Outleon. I'm Detective Bentley, and I'm here to look into some possible white-collar crime here in the office. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
Please, call me Bill. But to answer your question, Mr. Detective Sir, I don't know a thing. Why, I don't even know what white-collar crime is.
Theft of company assets, illegally dumping chemicals, accounting fraud, the list goes on. But there's one form of white-collar crime I'd like to look into today. Identity theft.
Well, I don't know anything about that. Accounting fraud, though, Iris is the head of accounting. I'd talk to her.
Thank you, Bill. I'll head over there now.
I warn you, though, she's difficult to work with. Got a few screws loose in that head of hers.
I'm sure it can't be that bad.
Miss Bentley, you're here. Take a seat wherever.
I think I'll stand. Are you Mrs. Iris?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Then I'd like to ask you some questions regarding white-collar crime. Do you know how this kind of crime is perpetuated?
No.
Inaction. Employers refusing to take control of what their employees are doing, even if it's illegal because they're making money. And even if they do take action, they'd best be careful. One slip into the media about this and company stocks will plummet overnight.
But why not just punish employees quietly? Not like they could really complain to anyone about their own bad actions.
In only 78% of cases is anybody even fired. In only half of those is any legal action taken, and half again, in only 17% of cases, are proper regulators informed of what happened. These crimes could go on for years without anyone doing anything.
That didn't really answer my question.
Which is why I'm here in Colorado. You're a financial service, which makes you a hotspot for white-collar crime, alongside retail and manufacturing companies.
I'm not really feeling heard here. It's not good to walk all over some poor account just because you're fired up over a little global pandemic of crime or something silly.
This is no laughing matter, Mrs. Iris.
I'll look past your rudeness and tell you what I know. My account record changes every day before I arrive. Every night, Mr. Malinsky tells me not to worry about it.
Go on.
I will. That man's been stealing at A's since he was in the 1st grade. I shouldn't tell you that. Only she can tell you more.
Who?
Martha Stewart.
You're not making a joke?
Never would. I'll give you her address, and you can go right ahead and talk to her. She won't mind the company.
Thank you, Mrs. Iris. I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere.
I haven't seen anything yet, Mr. Bentley. It's great to meet you, Mr. Bentley. We heard you have some questions.
Why, yes, I do. First, who is this man?
Mortimer Gage at your service. I work with the, what you call it with, you see. But I'm here with Miss Stewart. We're discussing the mortgage on her home. She's getting in on years and needs help.
I see. Well, Mr. Gage, I'm here to talk about the company you work for, Colorado Industries. If it's not much trouble, I'd like for you to leave the room just for a moment.
No, Detective. I don't think that will be necessary. What do you think, Martha?
No, I think it's fine. Gage is here.
Fine. Gage can stay.
What did you want to discuss, Mr. Bentley?
There are some reports of Hello, I'm Mr. Bentley, the detective here to meet with you.
Hi, Mr. Bentley. I'm Pierre Midscheme, CEO of the Colorwit Company. I pride myself on our company's $300 billion annual revenue and our marvelous public relations.
300 billion? Isn't that how much money the US loses to white-collar crime a year?
Well, I hardly see how that's relevant, Mr. Bentley. This is not what we so graciously invited you into our office to talk about. We are here to have a nice chat regarding your case.
This is a serious case I've got on my hands, Mr. Scheme. I'd recently...
Mr. Midscheme.
What?
My name is Mr. Midscheme, not Scheme.
My mistake. I recently uncovered some documents regarding one of your employees, Mr. Gage, and his blatant illegal activity. He has taken the identities of several of your clients and used them to gamble on the stock market for...
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but you don't have any proof, Mr. Bentley.
Mr. Midscheme,
Midscheme. And I don't have any evidence. The burden of proof lies solely upon you, I'm afraid. You are the magnificent little detective around here after all.
I've got papers, documents, a testimony from Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart. That Martha Stewart?
The one and the same. She's alleging all the common symptoms of white-collar crime. Money embezzlement, violating election law, fraud against the government, even corporate espionage.
Alan Bentley, are you insinuating that I had anything in this wide open world to do with these stolen identities?
Mr. Midscheme, I never did introduce myself as Alan. My business card, my publications, they only say Bentley. You would have no way of knowing my name was Alan unless...
Bentley, I'll get you for this!
Threat to physical violence. You're branching out, Midscheme.
Mr. Bentley, you're here. Take a seat wherever.
I think I'll stand. Are you Mrs. Iris? Perfect. I'd like to ask you some questions regarding white collar. You are in the shot, Kaylee.
Get them faster.
Oh my god, you can get
Get them faster. Get them faster.
No!
Get out. Get out.
Oh, Blahnik.
I'm going to kick you.
Oh, Blahnik is just gonna love this.
We good?
I'm just comfy, man.
It is a total time down there.
Every night, Mr. Malinsky tells me not to worry about it.
Go on.
I will. That man's been stealing eggs since he was in the 1st grade. But I shouldn't tell you that. Only she can tell you more.
Who?
Martha Stewart.
What line? Which one? You want me to improvise the whole thing?
Yeah, let's just go completely off.
Quiet on set.
Good evening, Mr. Outleon. I'm Detective Bentley, and I'm here to look into some possible white-collar crime here in the office. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
Please, call me Mama.